I know some individuals may feel that I was picking on the lawyers yesterday. Um, well, it wasn't picking on them, it's bringing truth and fact to the table. Uh, when you're doing something and you're just, throwing things out there without fact, that's different. Then that's just, wasted sarcasm because you don't agree with someone, but you don't have any basis to, support it. Now, when we look at the law that you're surrounded by, we have to look at the lawyers are everywhere. They're in every facet of society. Doesn't matter what category of what you're talking about, there is a legal team sitting there for that artifice of law. So whether it's criminal law, though they're all criminals in my viewpoint anyways, because they use a fiction to lie and induce you to bear false witness, but to a title that doesn't belong to you. But you've got family law, okay, which deals with the Roman last name or surname. Then you've got, basically real estate law. It goes on and on. It's infinite, and the lawyers are everywhere. So when we look at the system, we call the legal system that surrounds us today, it's called an accusatory system of law. Now, when you look at Scripture for your basis of direction, you'll remember that certain things are in Scripture to bring you not so much clues, but pathway directions that will bring clarity to how you're going to proceed on things. So when I hear when I hear terminologies that it's an accusatory system, I go back to the Bible on who is the accuser of the brethren of the followers or the disciples of Jesus. Well, it's Satan. He's spoken of as the accuser. So we know he's been accusing us from day one as a creation that would follow him into doom and into death. And so all his, I would say, minions, of course, are known as devil's advocates. And in fact, governed by their Bible, which is called the Book of Deviling, that's in England. So they run all these law societies, fully aware, at least at the top, and not to say that there isn't the odd lawyer here and there that's thinks that he's possibly doing a good thing, being involved in a legal society that advocates your right to do wrong by license, to speak a lie, as long as you're licensed to do that. So they make a really, really good, or should I say bad, they make a really, really absolute executing killing on this system. And they've got a worldwide focused participation of people that are duped into thinking these guys are good guys and they need to be there. So people say, oh, I don't need lawyers or I'm free of lawyers. That's not really the case, because there's always lawyers behind the scenes in everything that's going on in the world of commerce and trade. When Jesus said, woe unto you, lawyers, for you take away the key of knowledge, you also notice that he was also talking about the Pharisees. And because these Pharisees were the scribes who were writing the law, they were involved in the conspiracy to take down Jesus. They were also conspiring against the Romans to thwart their authority, though they were acting as if they were good guys supporting Caesar. That's not really the case. We'll talk in another video with an historic document that will give you more of what was going on at the time of Jesus' death or his trial and execution, and what was going on with the Pharisees and Pontius Pilate at the time, and his communication with Tiberius. But in this situation, I'm just trying to get you to understand why the bearing the burden of evil will come upon the lawyers, the scribes, these Pharisees. The Pharisees just made this law society that you see worldwide. And so they're operating them. They're the descendants of those who denied Jesus Christ and said the blood will be on us. So the onus is on them already. And of course, they've got worldwide minions operating as their members, which, promoting legal is the opposite to grace. So when we look at why would the burden come upon them, well, beyond that Scripture said that it would come upon them, a man will reap what he sows. The word inscriptio that we talked about the other day, Roman law, a written accusation detailed in an official register. Well, this is a written accusation, detailed, very detailed, many particulars that the parents filled out, and they accused a child of already being ready to trespass and take private claim to public title that did not belong to them. So how does inscriptio really work? Well, a written accusation detailed in an official register, the accuser was liable to punishment if the accused was acquitted. Well, we know a child would have been acquitted. We already talked about the A that sits outside the frame. Remember, it's out there for a reason. You were just accused, framed, and then you were acquitted. Because there's no possible way God would allow an innocent child in any law system to be allowed to be guilty of a crime. How could a child enter a contract that is unconscionable or immoral, making private claim to public peculation or funds or embezzlement? So we were absolved, plus you were born after the birth and the death of Jesus Christ, which has to do with sovereignty. Who is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords? Well, it's not Donald Trump. It's not the Prime Minister of Canada or any of these other nations. It is only Jesus Christ. He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he is supreme, and all things were surrendered to him upon his death and resurrection. So he's an ultimate authority, and therefore the lawyers who deny Jesus, being devil's advocates, they're responsible as the accusers. This is prepared by government legal services in Canada. They write and scribe the Vital Statistics Act, but it's a game. They're wondering whether or not you're going to play the game. Even though it's forbidden to touch what is public with your private name, just like touching the forbidden fruit, you basically have a choice. And so they're bidding on which way you're going to go. Now, they've put their full faith that these counterfeit certificates, which were issued only based on the fact that they had to induce property, private property, into the record in order to have someone that could be accused. It would never have worked otherwise. They can't issue these securities without the given name on there, which is the private property of God. Therefore, when you pull out, guess who's going to have to explain to the people they sold these securities to how they get absolutely nothing, and they're the guys who did it. They're going to have to explain to them how you were able to pull out, how you were able to do early withdrawal. Pull out, do not be commingled with them, do not be unequally yoked. The yoking ends when you withdraw your consent, and they were gambling on you never waking up to realize you could withdraw your consent. So it's very simple. It rests on them. The legal system is responsible, and it is woe unto ye lawyers.